Claim Social Security at 62, at 67, or at 70. Same worker, same formula. But the checks can differ by hundreds of thousands of dollars over a retirement, and the day you claim, you're locked in for life. Everyone has an opinion. Almost no one runs the one number that actually decides it. So let me show you what's really at stake. Take a worker whose full benefit is about $1,400 a month at 62. Wait until 70, and that same worker's check is about $2,480. 77% more, guaranteed, for life. Same person, same earnings record. The only thing that changed was the date on the application. Here's how we're going to settle this. 3 contenders, 62, your full retirement age, which for most people watching is 67, and 70. Same earnings record for all 3. Same formula. The only variable is the day you start. We're going to score every one of them honestly, and we're going to let the math, not somebody's opinion at a barbecue, declare the winner. And this is worth your time for one reason above all others. This decision is permanent. Nearly every other money choice you make in retirement, you can adjust, rebalance the portfolio, change the budget, sell the house. Not this one. Once you claim, you are largely locked in for the rest of your life. You only get to make this decision once, so let's make it right. This isn't some rare mistake either. 62 is the single most popular age to claim. About 1 in 4 people file the day they're eligible. And yet only about 4% of retirees claim at the age the math would have chosen for them. Think about that. Most people are picking a fighter without ever looking at the tail of the tape. One thing before we start. I am not here to tell you that 70 always wins. That's not a fair fight, and you'd be right to click away from it. I'm here to run your numbers honestly, including the very real cases where claiming at 62 is the smart call. Let's get into it. Let's give 62 its fair case first, because it has one. Claim at 62 and the money starts now, up to 8 years before you'd otherwise see a dime. That's real cash in your hands, while you're younger, while your knees still work, while you can actually spend it on the things you waited your whole career to do. There's also a peace of mind argument. Get the money moving. Stop worrying about whether the program changes on you, and enjoy the certainty of a check you're already holding. For a lot of people, that emotional math is the entire appeal, and I understand it completely. It's not irrational. It's just incomplete. Now the tail of the tape. If your full retirement age is 67, anyone born in 1960 or later, claiming at 62 is not a small trim. It's a 30% permanent reduction. A $1,000 full benefit becomes $700. Sit with that number for a second, because the word that matters most in it is permanent. This is not a discount you pay for a couple of early years and then it goes away. It's a smaller check in January when you're 63, and it's a smaller check in January when you're 88. Every month for the rest of your life, at the level you locked in the day you signed. And there's a detail almost nobody hears until it's too late. If your spouse is collecting on your record, their benefit gets cut even harder, down 35%. So an early claim doesn't just size your own check for life. It sizes the household's, and it sizes your spouse's, long after the decision felt like it was only about you. That's 62's opening number on the board. Money sooner, but a permanently lighter check for 2 lives. Round 1 is on the scorecard. Now for the other corner. Let's run the real math on waiting. Here's the mechanism. Once you pass your full retirement age, Social Security adds 8% to your benefit for every year you hold off, right up until 70. 67 is the honest baseline in the middle. That's 100% of your full benefit. No cut and no bonus. The number both fighters get measured against. Wait past it, and the credits stack. So watch what happens across the whole range. At 62, you collect 70% of your full benefit. At 70, you collect 124%. Do the division and the gap is enormous. The check at 70 is about 77% larger than the check at 62 for the same worker, for life. That's the $1,400 benefit becoming roughly $2,480, the number I opened with. And I want to be precise about what kind of raise that is, because it's rarer than it sounds. It's guaranteed. It's adjusted for inflation every single year. It doesn't care what the stock market did, whether rates went up or down, or how your funds performed. There is no annuity you can buy on the open market that hands you an 8%, inflation-protected, lifelong increase for simply waiting. On raw monthly income, this is where 70 lands its hardest punch, and right now, on paper, it's winning the fight, going away, which is exactly the moment your gut should be asking the obvious question. If waiting is so clearly better, why does anyone claim early, and what's the catch? Here's who wins, and by how much. Because there is a catch, and it's the fairest one in all of finance. The catch is this: when you wait, you get a bigger check, but you also collect it for fewer years, and you give up all those payments you could have taken starting at 62. So somewhere out in the future there's a crossover point, an age where the delayer's larger checks finally add up to more total money than the early claimer ever banked. That's the break-even age. That is the one number I told you almost nobody runs, the number that actually decides this whole thing. So where does it land? Compare 62 to full retirement age, and you break even at roughly 78 years and 8 months. Compare 62 to 70, and it's around age 80. Compare full retirement age to 70, and you're looking at somewhere near 82 or 83. I'm giving you a range on purpose, not a single magic number, because the exact break-even shifts a year or two depending on cost of living adjustments and what you'd have earned investing the early checks. Late 70s to about 80, that's the honest window. Now here's the pivot the whole duel turns on. Most people live past it. Look at Social Security's own life tables. A 65-year-old woman today has about a 74% chance of reaching 80, roughly 64% chance of reaching 83, about a 35% chance of living to 90. Life expectancy at 65 is 20.7 years for a woman and 18.1 for a man. The average 65-year-old woman is already expected to reach roughly 86, well past every break-even line we just drew. And if you're married, the odds tilt even harder toward waiting, because now you're not betting on one life, you're betting on the longer of two. The chance that at least one spouse in a 65-year-old couple is still alive at 90 is dramatically higher than it is for either person alone. Since the delayer's bigger check keeps paying as long as either of you is collecting on that record, a couple is, in effect, buying a much longer runway for the same 77% raise. So let me declare the winner, honestly, the way I promised. If you have real reason to believe you won't reach your break-even, 62 wins, and it wins cleanly. But if you're likely to live past it, and the odds say most of you are, then full retirement age beats 62, and 70 beats them both. And it keeps widening its lead every single year you stay alive. The duel comes down to one variable: your own longevity, measured against that break-even line. Find where you sit on that curve and you've found your answer. If we stopped there, you'd have a clean answer. But the monthly check comparison leaves 3 things off the scorecard, and every one of them tilts the fight further toward waiting. Start with the one that does the most damage and gets the least attention: the survivor trap. When one spouse dies, the survivor keeps the larger of the 2 benefits, not both. But there's a ceiling written into the rules. It's called the retirement insurance benefit limitation. If the higher earner claimed early, the survivor's benefit is permanently capped at no more than about 82.5% of that worker's full benefit. Picture a real couple. He was the bigger earner. He claimed at 62 to get the money flowing. He passes first, as husbands more often do. Now his widow, statistically poorer, statistically longer lived, is locked into a shrunken survivor check for the rest of her life, and there is nothing she can do to lift it. She can't wait it out. She can't undo it. That single decision he made in his early 60s follows her into her 90s. The second thing off the scorecard is the earnings test, and it ambushes the exact people who claim early because they say they need the income. Claim before your full retirement age and keep working. And in 2026, Social Security withholds $1 of every 2 you earn above $24,480. That threshold is low enough that a part-time job clears it easily, and suddenly half your Social Security check is being held back. Now, and this matters, I won't overstate it, that money is withheld, not lost forever. Social Security recalculates and gives it back through a higher benefit once you reach full retirement age. But withheld for years is a very different thing from the free income people picture when they file early to keep working. And a quick third, claiming early can drag more of your benefit into being taxed sooner. Up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxable, and here's the quiet part. The income thresholds that decide how much gets taxed haven't been adjusted for inflation since the 1980s. They don't move. So every year, as ordinary incomes drift up, that tax reaches a little further down into the middle class. And starting your benefits early can pull you across that line before you needed to be anywhere near it. None of these three costs show up when you just line the monthly checks side by side, and all three lean the same direction. So if the math points this clearly, why do so many good, smart people still grab the check at 62? The honest answer isn't that they're bad with money. It's that they're human. We are wired for loss aversion. A check we could be cashing feels like a check being taken from us. So the instinct is get mine before it's gone. There's real research on this. When you show people their actual odds of living a long life, their regret about not locking in more lifetime income jumps 42%. The pull toward 62 isn't stupidity. It's an old, deep bias doing exactly what it evolved to do. But I told you I'd be fair. So here's when 62 genuinely wins the duel. If you have a serious health issue or a family history that puts a real question mark over reaching your late 70s, claim early. The break-even math is on your side. If you truly need the income to keep the lights on, and there's no other bridge, take it. A lighter check you can live on beats a bigger one you can't wait for. And if you're married, there's a strategy where the lower earner claims early for cash flow while the higher earner delays all the way to 70. That locks in the biggest possible survivor benefit for whoever's left. In those cases, 62 isn't the mistake. It's the plan. So let's bring the whole duo back to one idea. Your claim date was never really a decision about this year's income. It's a decision about your lifetime income and your spouse's, stretched across every year you're both alive. That first check feels like the whole story when you're standing at 62. It isn't. It's one payment in a stream that runs for 2 or 3 decades, and the age you start sets the height of that stream for all of it. Judge it on the whole arc, not the relief of getting the first one. Which gives us the rule worth writing down. Don't claim the day you can. Claim the day the math says, and for most people, that day is later than 62. Before you sign anything, run your own duel. Pull your estimated benefit at 62, at 67, and at 70. It's on your Social Security statement. And find the age where waiting overtakes claiming early. Then look honestly at your own family's longevity. So ask yourself the only question that settles this. Am I likely to live past my break-even? Because that one answer picks your winner. And if you're married, the timing game changes completely. That's the next one. The retirement red zone. The math on decisions you can't undo.